All right, so we've got a mountain of Web3 news to dig into.
Yeah, it's incredible how fast things are moving, isn't it?
Seriously, every day there's something new. But I guess that's what keeps it exciting.
It really does. Today we're diving into some trends that are really shaking things up, especially for people who think Ethereum is the end-all, be-all.
Well, speaking of Ethereum, one of the articles you flagged is about a major upgrade happening in March 2025.
Right, Pectra.
Pectra.
Okay. Big deal for Ethereum. Scalability and efficiency, those have always been big challenges, right?
Right.
And as the network grows, it's only getting more important to figure those things out.
March 2025 is, well, it's not that far away. What kind of changes are we talking about for developers and just like regular users?
For developers, it could be a lot easier to build and launch their decentralized applications.
Smoother process.
Smoother, yeah. And for users, it could mean faster transactions.
Faster, great.
And maybe even lower fees.
Oh, everyone's going to like that. Right. But you're right, there's a whole world beyond just Ethereum. A couple of these articles are all about Polkadot and something called MoveVM.
Polkadot's really gaining traction with its approach to interoperability, which basically means allowing all these different blockchains to talk to each other and work together.
So it's breaking down all the walls between these different blockchains.
Exactly, like a universal translator.
Love it. Okay, MoveVM, though. That sounds a bit technical.
So MoveVM, that's a programming language and virtual machine specifically made for blockchain applications.
Okay.
It's like a super secure toolbox for building really strong smart contracts, especially when we're talking about managing digital assets.
So making sure all those complex transactions happen safely and smoothly.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why it's so interesting that Polkadot is embracing MoveVM.
Okay, so more options for developers in that ecosystem.
Yeah, they can build more sophisticated applications, more secure applications, leveraging both Polkadot and MoveVM.
So it's combining the best of both worlds. This whole interoperability thing, it seems to be popping up a lot. There's also an article about CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It sounds like it could be huge.
Think about a Web3 world where your assets and data could just flow between different blockchains.
No more separate silos.
No more silos, no more workarounds. That's the future that CCIP is working towards.
Okay. That sounds amazing, but how would that actually play out in real life?
Imagine you're a gamer. You've got all these valuable NFTs on one blockchain. Right now, moving them to a different blockchain, like for a different game, it's a nightmare.
It's a pain, yeah.
But with CCIP, imagine just sending those NFTs over, no problem. No complex bridges, no exchanges.
So CCIP could make that whole process a lot easier.
Exactly. Much more user-friendly. And as that happens, everything becomes more connected.
Which just opens up so many more possibilities.
Exactly. And that's driving innovation. It's driving investment. Speaking of, did you see the news about the Azuki NFT project?
Oh, yeah. They're launching their own coin.
The anime coin. It's creating a lot of buzz.
For sure. And they've always been pushing the boundaries of what NFTs can be. It's not just about static art anymore.
Right. They're looking at entertainment. They're looking at fan engagement. And it could change how we interact with digital content, how we interact with online communities.
It's like building a whole ecosystem around their brand, right?
Yes.
Using NFTs and cryptocurrency to connect with their community in new ways.
Yeah, and this isn't just about Azuki either. We're seeing other NFT projects exploring this, using tokens, using decentralized platforms to build deeper relationships with their audiences.
So it's blurring the lines between art, entertainment, and finance.
Absolutely. Speaking of finance, there's some big funding news coming out of the Web3 space. Phantom, the crypto wallet, just raised $150 million.
Wow. $150 million at a $3 billion valuation. That's serious money.
Clearly, investors see the potential in Web3. It's not just hype anymore. It's becoming more mature. It's attracting real capital.
And that's going to lead to even more innovation, right? More user-friendly products and services.
Exactly.
It's interesting. It's not just the big names either. There's an article here about Brickken, a company in Spain. They're focused on real-world asset tokenization.
Oh, yeah. They just secured $2.5 million in funding.
So they're taking real-world assets, things like real estate or intellectual property,
and they're putting them on the blockchain.
It changes how we think about ownership and investment.
It's a great example of how Web3 is solving real-world problems.
It's a global movement.
It really is. And these global connections are growing even stronger with strategic partnerships, like the one between Geo Platforms and Polygon Labs.
That's huge. Geo is a massive telecom company in India, and they're teaming up with Polygon to bring Web3 to, well, hundreds of millions of people.
The potential impact is incredible. Think about financial inclusion, digital identity, access to new services for millions of people who have been excluded before.
It really does feel like a whole new world of possibilities.
It does, and it highlights how Web3 is bridging the gap between the physical and digital worlds.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
From Ethereum's upgrades to the rise of Polkadot and MoveVM to CCIP, we've talked about NFTs, and the increasing investment in Web3. It's evolving so quickly.
It's truly remarkable, and we're just getting started. Stay tuned for part 2 of our Web3 deep dive, where we'll explore even more of the exciting projects and trends shaping the future of this dynamic space. Welcome back to our deep dive into all the latest Web3 news.
It's really mind-blowing how much we covered in that first part. Ethereum upgrades, Polkadot, CCIP, the NFT space. Web3 is just constantly pushing the boundaries.
It really is, and all this innovation, it's showing up in the projects and trends that are shaping things, like that partnership between Geo Platforms and Polygon Labs.
Right.
Bringing Web3 to India, that could be huge for mainstream adoption. Think about it.
Massive population.
Huge population, and their digital economy is growing so fast. Think about the possibilities for financial inclusion, digital identity, access to all kinds of new services for people who haven't had those opportunities before.
It's like a digital renaissance, opening up all these doors.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. It really gets at the heart of what Web3 is trying to do, a more equitable digital future for everyone. And part of building that future is interoperability. Remember CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol.
Yeah, the bridge between all the different blockchains.
Exactly. CCIP, it's all about breaking down those walls and creating a more seamless experience for everyone. And the launch of the cross-chain token standard, the CCT standard, is a big step in that direction.
You mentioned CCTs before, but I'm still a little fuzzy on the details.
Okay, so think of CCTs as tokens that are made for a truly interconnected Web3. They're built to move between blockchains thanks to Chainlink's CCIP tech. Imagine sending a CCT from Ethereum to Solana as easily as sending an email.
Wow. That would get rid of a lot of the headaches we have now.
Exactly. It removes so much friction, so many barriers that have been holding Web3 back. Instead of using those complicated bridges to move assets, you just send a CCT directly.
So it's not just about convenience. It's about making things more secure, more user-friendly.
Exactly. And that focus on user experience, it's bringing developers to platforms like Polkadot, which is embracing that MoveVM programming language.
MoveVM. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all the technical stuff. It's all about security and flexibility.
You got it. Security first, especially when you're dealing with digital assets, complex transactions. MoveVM, it's designed to minimize vulnerabilities, prevent exploits.
Makes sense. And what about flexibility? How does that play into it?
Think of it like a set of specialized tools for developers, so they can build all sorts of applications, from DeFi to NFTs and beyond.
So they can create custom-tailored solutions for whatever they need to do in Web3.
Yeah, and combining that with Polkadot's architecture, its multi-chain setup, it's really powerful.
They complement each other.
Yeah. Polkadot's giving developers this really secure and robust platform to build on.
It's a sign of a larger trend in Web3, moving away from the hype and toward real-world applications.
You're right. More focus on solving real problems, creating value you can see.
Remember Brickken, the company in Spain, tokenizing real-world assets.
Exactly.
That's a perfect example.
Bringing Web3 into the real world, and it's happening across so many industries: finance, supply chain, healthcare, even entertainment.
It feels like we're on the edge of something big.
Yeah.
Like Web3 is about to become way more accessible.
I think you're right. It's an exciting time. The energy in the Web3 space is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the tech. It's about the community, the people who are making all of this happen.
Speaking of community, what about projects like Azuki?
Yeah.
Their anime coin. It seems like they're really using NFTs to create a stronger community, get people more involved.
It's fascinating to see Azuki, they're going beyond just making digital art.
Right.
They're building a whole ecosystem.
Right.
Leveraging NFTs and crypto to connect with their fans on a deeper level.
Like they're changing the whole relationship between creators and their audience.
Exactly. It's not just about financial incentives anymore. It's about giving fans a feeling of ownership. Like they're a part of something bigger.
And that's attracting a lot of attention from investors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Phantom's $150 million funding round.
Yeah. Investors are paying attention. They see the future of Web3, especially when it comes to platforms that prioritize the user experience and security.
Exactly. All this investment, it's going to lead to even more innovation, We're going to see more user-friendly products and services.
It's like we're at a tipping point
Yeah,
where Web3 could really take off.
there's so much to explore. I'm ready to jump into part 3 and see what else is in store for Web3. It's amazing to think we're already on the final part of our Web3 deep dive. From Ethereum's upgrades to the rise of Polkadot and everything in between, it really feels like we're witnessing a whole new digital world emerging.
It really does feel that way, doesn't it? And as we wrap things up, it's important to remember that Web3, it's not just about the technology itself, it's about empowering people, creating a fairer digital landscape for everyone.
Absolutely. And that brings us to some of the projects and trends that are shaping that future. We were talking about Azuki and their anime coin and how they're pushing the limits of what NFTs can do.
Azuki is interesting because they're aiming beyond just digital art. They're getting into entertainment, fan engagement, building a whole world around their brand.
Yeah. It's like a new way for creators to connect with their audience. It's not just about transactions. It's about a sense of community, of shared ownership.
Exactly. And that deeper engagement is something we're seeing all over Web3. Projects are using NFTs and crypto to create all these new ways for fans to connect with creators, with brands.
And it's attracting some serious investment, too.
Yeah.
Like those funding rounds we talked about earlier. Phantom raising $150 million.
Yay.
Brickken getting $2.5 million.
That shows you the confidence people have in Web3. Investors see the potential for real-world applications. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
It's interesting how Web3 is opening up investment to more people,
Yeah.
like tokenization. It could make it so much easier to invest in things that used to be out of reach.
Absolutely. Web3 is all about breaking down those barriers, creating a financial system that's more inclusive, giving people more control over their assets, their data.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that Web3 is constantly changing, innovating, and full of potential. We've talked about so much. Ethereum's upgrade, the rise of Polkadot and MoveVM, CCIP making everything connect seamlessly, the growing applications for NFTs. It's an incredible time to be following all of this.
It really is. The main takeaway is that Web3 isn't just a technology shift. It's a whole cultural movement. It's changing how we think about the internet, what it can do.
Creating a future that's more decentralized, transparent, and fair.
Exactly.
And that's something to get excited about.
Absolutely. Keep exploring Web3, stay curious, and get involved with the community that's making this revolution happen.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Web3. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.
Until next time, keep learning, keep pushing those boundaries, and keep building that decentralized future.